On the internet. Our audience is on the internet. The life I love is making Jupiter at night, and I can't wait to get on the internet.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Jupiter at Night. My name is Chris.
And my name is Jeremy.
Hey there, J-Man.
Hi.
Welcome back after a few days off.
I know, it feels like forever.
It does.
I've missed the internet.
When you do a daily show and then you take 3 days. It feels like a really long time. Now, tonight's episode is all about, get ready for this. Aliens are preventing nuclear war.
Really?
Yeah, they're kind of pulling from an old Superman idea. Remember Superman 4, I think it was? He comes down to the planet, comes back, he's like, hey, you know what?
Wait a minute.
I had a little wait time.
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Superman was an alien.
Exactly.
What a ripoff!
Exactly.
What? You get your own shtick, man. I mean, you can't be just stealing things from comic books left and right, right?
Totally. Now here's the thing, though. What we're about to talk about tonight sounds like it took place in the late 1960s, after the Superman, when it flew around, took everybody's nuclear missiles and put them up in a big net in space. What this actually happened, there's been, and this is just in the news, you probably, if you've been online in these last 24 hours or so, you've probably seen a ton of this stuff break, but there's been a group of, I think, 3 different individuals that served in the Air Force.
It's actually like 6 or 7.
Is it that big?
But they're describing what sounds like, if I was following them closely enough, it sounds like only 3 different incidents.
That's what it
multiple
was.
accounts of singular incidents. But all of this stuff was basically recently declassified by the U.S. Air Force. So
these guys held a press conference.
Right. All got together and got up in front of people and made it official. They put their statements on record regarding strange cigar-shaped glowing objects and other really interesting phenomena. Now,
it's interesting, too. It sounds like what these things did is they came in. These guys were stationed at military bases that were missile silos.
Right.
And these UFOs came in and hovered over the missile silos. This isn't even a joke, people. We're not kidding. These UFOs hovered over missile silos and hung there for a bit. Radio communications went out.
Or were very spotty at the very least.
And then after they were done doing their thing, they took off, and none of the missiles were ready to fire.
That's right.
The nav system on them had all been scrambled, all screwed up.
Some of them had their systems completely shut down. There are rumors that this may have happened at a Soviet site where a missile became armed from this process, but no records of a detonation.
That's pretty scary.
Resulting from that.
Now, what's particularly interesting about this story is the individuals involved. Well, first of all, they're really well respected in terms of military rank.
I think every last one of them was a colonel.
Wow.
Which is if I remember my Chuck correctly, that's the top rank under general, right?
I don't know, dude. I cannot believe we just went to Chuck.
That's right about Major, right?
Although Chuck is really the source of all knowledge.
Right.
At
least all of my knowledge.
At least what's the thing in his head called?
The intersect?
The intersect, yeah. Well, what's interesting about this press conference, so these guys, they got together and they held a press conference in D.C., and they all were interviewed by various news outlets and things like that. Very serious stuff, and their stories all pretty much match up, too, which is really interesting.
Right. One of the stories that stands out to me is from the point of view of somebody that was doing some geological surveys on the base, third party, not actually military not enlisted military. That's the difference.
So
it was like a civilian contractor that. And he was doing some studies on the base when something else happened that somebody else at this press conference then stood up later and described from a listening post standpoint. Same incident.
That's
2 different point of views.
In the show notes, we'll have a link, and the 3 guys get up and talk, and each one it's really fascinating to hear the same story, but from different perspectives, and they all kind of click. Which, if you look at these guys, they're what, in their 70s. And
60s and 70s probably. Yeah.
These really don't seem like the type of people that have any reason to make something like
that.
Well,
I think my mom put it best when she watched these, and she said these guys are far too old and far too boring to have made this stuff up.
Yeah, and they say that the technology involved to pull this off. One military base had 10 missiles knocked offline at the same time. They say sure, maybe once or twice that'll happen with some sort of malfunction, but the technology to pull off killing 10 nav systems and 10 missiles is really big because these things are like the conduits and all of the wiring leading down to this base that's 60 feet underground. Everything leading to it is extremely, they call it triple shielded.
Right.
Everything has massive protection to prevent radioactive interference and radio transmission interference.
Right.
And they still did 10 at once. They even have some pictures of it.
Right. There's it's freaking amazing.
After it was all said and done, they were pulled in by high-ranking Air Force guys, and they had to sign a piece of paper saying, you can't tell anyone about this. Not
most
friends,
of these
family,
guys
or wives."
have also brought up that they were never debriefed on these instances. That basically everything that they had in terms of evidence, like pictures and personal statements and everything like that, that was just taken from them, and then kind of... One of them says that one of the guys stood up and said it basically vanished. They never heard from the information again. But they were never given an official debriefing by their leaders in the military.
If you're watching the video version here or on the live stream, the photo we're showing was taken in 1964 in New Mexico by a government employee. Mm-hmm. And this was an official photo that they kept that has been released as part of this declassification process. Photos, testimonies. This sounds like it really happened.
It's starting to seem that way.
Did you see what some of the leading theories are on possibly what aliens would be up? Why would aliens travel here to do this?
Well, there's two primary fields of thought. And if you go through the internet and listen to people flapping their gums, because that's what they do on the internet, case in point.
Guilty.
There's basically two main schools of thought. And one is the aliens are trying to save us from ourselves.
Possible.
That just like Superman... They're trying to stop us from blowing ourselves up with our own weapons of mass destruction.
Possible. I could see that. Although, why travel? I mean, who cares about a little blue dot? And all the worlds out there. Why would you, maybe once they got here, like, oh, these dumb Fs.
Well, apparently you didn't see the day the Earth stood still.
Oh.
Life is a very rare gift.
And they might want our resources, and they don't want us to nuke it the crap out of it.
Right.
I could see that.
Now,
Okay.
the other main school of thought here is that the aliens are coming here to disarm us, so that for their eventual invasion, we will be left defenseless. And that these few encounters are just the tip of the iceberg.
Could be. Maybe like a warning shot that not only are your weapons of no use to us, but we can just completely render them worthless.
While they're sitting in their silos.
Before you even get them in the air, we'll neutralize them.
Yeah.
Could be a message. My theory, I am on the internet, so I thought maybe I'd throw one out there, is maybe it's like some sort of refueling process before they take off. Did you hear that they actually found one parked?
A UFO? Oh, yeah.
At the bottom of a cavern, yeah.
Right.
They see one, they're at a missile silo, and there's a cavern off in the distance. They see the UFO come in, land, or they see it go down into the cavern, so they call in the Air Force. The Air Force, like, jets arrive. They verify. They see a UFO parked down on the ground. Now, what they say, one of the things that's unique about this is one of the experiences is the UFO comes about, I think they said, like 30 feet off from him, and it just comes right up, it moves, it's silent, and then just takes off.
Straight up into the air.
And they'd say they'd see them come into a complete 180 and change direction instantaneously.
Another one of the accounts is that after seeing it within a few hundred yards, maybe it flew straight up, and within a matter of seconds was the size of a pinprick in the sky, a starlight.
Here's what's creepy about that. Is my stepfather told me a story about one time he was out on a lake up on a mountain fishing, and a UFO came down. Did a thing and moved over, like it did a complete 180, was going this direction, did a complete 180, went this direction, stopped, just all of a sudden came to a complete stop. He said it was totally silent, light in the sky, and then it went straight up, and then within a few seconds it was a little tot and it was gone. It's exactly what he described 15 or so years ago.
The chat room has just pointed this out to me, but you know what else is silent? The Tesla.
Well, that's just it, right? I mean, these could totally be like drones or who knows what.
I don't know, because these were around in the 50s.
Oh, right.
If any government anywhere on this planet
today
was capable of having these kind of flight controls back in the 50s,
and
then
silent to that
50 or 60 years since then, we probably would have developed something.
Have you
along those lines?
Here we have a town close to us called Arlington, and they have an airport. And every now and then when we're driving by there, you see some classic planes out there from this era.
Yeah.
And like the jet plane, there's a little mini, it's a fighter jet that somebody owns now. Like you can buy them.
Right, you can.
And
they're not cheap, but
you know what? You know who it is? Paul Allen.
Really?
Yeah, Paul
and it's
Allen.
parked in Arlington?
Yeah. Right. Anyways, those things are loud as, I mean, anything like from that era is super crazy loud.
Well, you've probably heard the saying, it was as loud as a jet engine.
Yeah, I have heard that. Yeah, that's probably where that came from.
Right, probably from the sound of jet engines.
Now, all of this kind of comes together around the same time that there was some news that the UN might be appointing a dedicated person to be the ambassador to extraterrestrials. Did you hear
Okay,
about this?
the first thing. Okay, I want to come clean. This turned out to be a hoax.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, at least that's what they
this
said.
news came out yesterday, at the same day that those press conferences were held, and it was like if you were watching the
pretty
news,
funny timing.
if you were a fan of the whole UFO phenomenon, and you saw this press conference, and then the UN appoints the ambassador to
saying.
extraterrestrials, you're probably sitting here going, "It's time. We're about to make contact."
You know what? One thing I wanted to say before we moved on, because you just reminded me of that, is the guys. One of the guys in the interview said, "Why are you coming forward now?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, we're just the tip of the iceberg, and we're hoping that by holding this press conference, all of the other people that we know that have firsthand experiences will
start
out,
to come forward,
and that we are just the beginning of a huge amount of people."
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he says that it was so common that UFO sightings that they actually had procedures to follow if they were driving and had a UFO sighting.
Yep.
Like, don't go to the missile
Right.
silo, go to an alternate location,
right?
all that kind of stuff. So when you see this kind of stuff, that maybe there's actual like Air Force handbook stuff with stuff to do
Policy
with
and
UN
procedures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you see that kind of stuff from a government agency, you think, all right, maybe the UN could appoint an ambassador.
Sure.
But no, I guess it was supposed to be a lady at that.
Yeah, she's a Malaysian astrophysicist named. I don't want to try to pronounce her name. Maslin Othman.
Yeah, I don't know. But interesting that she came out and said no. She actually herself debunked it.
Yeah, her people were trying to get a hold of her, but all of the contact information they had with her led to an office in Siena or something like that. Vienna, I mean, sorry.
Okay.
And so finally she sent out an email to a bunch of her colleagues and asked them to forward it. And it said basically, this sounds like a really cool job, but unfortunately I don't have it.
I saw that quote. That is funny. Don't believe her. She's covering. Well, I don't know.
Because really, if you've got a job like that, you don't tell the whole world, right?
Exactly. Now, sort of fitting in the theme of space and aliens, this is one that's near and dear.
You
to
might
our
even
hearts.
say new life and new civilizations.
Right. You just might. The next generation, I don't want to make you feel old here, but the next generation just turned 23. Today. I know. Old men. But
Well, no, that means I wasn't even born yet, right?
yeah.
Because those came out years before.
Right. Totally. And you know what? Looking back at it now, it does
They're so
seem
80s.
really old. It does look old. I mean,
There's-
look at these pictures.
Some of the hair and everything.
Yep. And
man.
there's something about an era's camera that just you can just see it in the photo itself.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because those
huge
weren't
Next Generation
digital on
fans, yeah.
12 megapixel cameras.
Right, those must have been film.
Right.
But
Polaroids probably, because that's what they used back then,
yeah,
right?
that's what TV studios
It was
use.
no, it was those glass panels that they still had to hold up the.
Shunk. Minnie Nessie in the chat room says that he's seen an alien. So there you go. Minnie Nessie's got a little sighting.
I have an uncle that has that sometimes regales us with his UFO sighting. So
That's my stepdad.
Yeah.
That's my stepdad.
I mean, they are out there.
So congrats to the Next Gen team. 23 years in the making, Sir Patrick Stewart. You've earned it. Congratulations. And if you have a UFO story or a sighting, maybe you think this stuff is real, let us know. Now, maybe on a closing note. Oh, by the way, JupiterCalling.com would be a great spot for feedback or the comments.
Right.
Maybe as a closing note, do you want to talk about this guy who is an insane mother effer?
Well, this I called it that we found a cake for the next generation.
Yeah, it
this
is
guy,
sort of like a
this
celebration
guy built you a cake.
Now, what's impressive about this is he, I guess, made a to-scale model of the Next Generation
There it
Galaxy
is.
ship. And it's pretty cool. How do you build stuff in here? I mean, this just looks really
This is a game
intricate.
called Minecraft that I'm intending to take a closer look at, possibly for a future
And
episode.
He built this thing to scale, actually laying down like
To
rings
scale.
and stuff.
Each of
right?
these bricks, you see the guy's holding a brick,
Ah,
and it's
he
kind of controlled like a
built it with
first-person
bricks?
shooter. Yeah,
Whoa.
like Legos. Each of these bricks is supposed to be a certain number of meters, so he took a layout of the Enterprise
So you did
from
the
like
math.
one of those technical things,
Sure.
and then just started laying it down using these bricks as the measurement and the building item all in one.
Geeky.
Yeah,
But-
incredible.
Massively time consuming. I guess, yeah, he's figuring he was going to build one anyways. So then when he saw this, he thought, why not just build it in here?
Right.
Well, I can think of a recent time, but all right, that's fine.
If you're a fan of Star Trek, I thoroughly encourage you to check this link in our show notes because just the amount of time that it takes.
You can even see the bottom hull designs on there.
Every single deck of the ship will be built inside of it. The time that it takes him to move just really gives you a great feel for the massive scale that this ship was supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's been moving the entire time we hit play, and he's still not up to it yet.
It really just kind of nails it home, and I geek out about it just watching it.
It makes you wish that you would have seen this ship landed on a planet somewhere, sort of like they did in Voyager, but I don't think Voyager got the scale quite right.
Well, you know this isn't canon. They didn't build it on the planet's surface.
Okay. Right. Let's not get into that debate.
Okay, all right.
But I do wish I'd seen it like this. I wish I could have seen the Next Generation cast on the planet with the Enterprise D down there.
Yeah.
That'd have been really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Well, big news for Jupiter at Night. We are live Tuesday through Thursday, and we are moving to 8 p.m.
And you can move with us by tuning in 1 hour earlier every night, not tonight. So from now on. Basically.
From now on, go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/live or just check jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar for all the different live shows, including Northwest Goofballs, our show all about football. If you're a football fan, head over to jupiterbroadcasting.com and look for that. I think
if you're watching the show tonight, they should be filming after we wrap up here. So stay tuned.
Cool. All right, everyone. Also, remember to check out the RSS feeds for all the different shows
if you'd like
to get them out when they come. And then also, if you like to get things out when they come, we'd love it to let people. If you'd let people know about Jupiter at Night.
You're just stumbling all over your words.
No, I know. I'm just telling about people when stuff comes and they like it. They should tell people about it. That's all. I just want to make sure people know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what he's saying.
If it comes and you like it, make sure you let all your friends know. Tweet it, link it, blog it. I don't care what you do. Just help us get the word out because we're trying to grow the show, and that is the next step, and we need your help.
That is the next generation of Jupiter at Night.
All right, you got a good call there, Jim.
Right.
Good call.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Well, thanks so much for watching tonight's episode, and we'll see you tomorrow night.